Hi guys, and welcome back to the Big Sew Along. I'm Ginny, and as always, I thank you very much for choosing to spend a little time with me. Today we are talking about zero waste patterns for knit fabrics, which is something that I have not come across a lot of. You guys are probably aware, if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, that I have fallen down the zero waste sewing rabbit hole more than once. I think there are some benefits and some drawbacks to the whole zero waste sewing movement. I did get a little sort of disenchanted with it at one point, and then I saw a post from Alexis, who is the designer behind Fibre and Claw Studios. She posted something on Instagram a while back. She was responding to people's overall criticism of zero waste patterns. And one of the things she said in that post was that she didn't think she was going to be able to save the world by sewing zero waste patterns, by not having waste in her actual personal sewing. Like, she recognized that that's not like a world problem solving answer. But she did say that it really increased her peace of mind. I'm not quoting directly, paraphrasing here. It gave her more peace of mind to not see so much waste in her own space. So I, as somebody who sews on a really regular basis, completely identify with that, because I will tell you that when I get bags and bags of scraps that I just don't have room for, I get completely overwhelmed. So that is one of the reasons that I actually really like the whole idea of zero waste sewing, because in my own space I have less sewing and consequently less clutter, and that is actually really freeing to me. The other thing is, because a lot of zero waste patterns are made from pretty simple shapes, primarily blocks, rectangles, squares, that kind of thing, sometimes triangles, but because they're made from really simple shapes, they tend to be a really good jumping point for some massive creativity. I like getting one of these patterns and getting going on it and then seeing what else I can do with it. And that for me is actually just a huge amount of fun. So that said, I have done a fair amount of sewing with zero waste patterns. Not a ton, but a bit. And whenever I look for zero waste patterns, I see mostly the same kinds of things, which are jackets, tops, dresses, tunics, that sort of thing. I see some pants. So far I've tried a few different zero waste pattern pants, and I have not been satisfied with any of them. So that maybe is just something I'm not going to pursue, or maybe it's something I'll have to wait and see if something else comes up that's just really fabulous. The other thing I don't see very much of is patterns specifically for knits. So that may not seem like a very big deal, but patterns that are made for knits are inherently account for the stretch and drape of a knit. So while you can use any pattern you want with a knit fabric, it may not translate very well. So there I go on my play around with zero waste patterns, trying to figure out what I can make from knits and what I can't. And I came across a few patterns that were specifically designed for knit fabrics. So here we go. Finally, we get to the crux of the issue. The first one I came across is a pattern called Bluette. B-L-E-U-E-T is the name of the pattern. It's from a company called Jolie. It's a French company. This is a t-shirt that is unisex, and it comes in a huge variety of sizes, from pretty small to pretty large, because like I said, it's unisex, so it's meant to cover a wide range of sizes. It's pretty simple. I'm going to show you really quickly here, if I can find it right here. This is a picture of one of the layouts. So there are different layouts for different sizes, but this is just so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. I don't even know if you'll be able to tell. I will say that this has a very, very clever layout because it gives you this sort of scoopy neckline, not a round neckline, not a slash neckline, but a slight scoop. And at the same time, that scoop enables you to make a sleeve cap for your sleeve. Now, that is great in some sizes. The problem is that because the shirt is the same at the shoulders as it is at the hips and at the bust, the bigger your shirt is, like on me, I made a size D. So for me, a size D fits me in the hips and in the bust, but the shoulder is going to be a drop shoulder, which in fact would be okay, except for I have that sleeve cap, which now sits down here in the middle of my bicep. I'm going to show you a picture of it here. This is when I very first made this t-shirt. Let me look and see if I can find my picture here. I actually made this a couple of weeks ago, so I might have to... Okay. So you can see here how that shoulder is not just dropped, it also has like kind of a weird protrusion, and that is that cap. Now, when I look at this in the pictures on their website, I think it looks great on them because they're you can see when I look at it on their website, I can see that it definitely does have that, but presumably the female model here, it looks to be pretty broad in the shoulders compared to the rest of her body, and she also does not look to be too broad anywhere. So I'm assuming that that means that that cap is going to sit closer to her natural shoulder bone. On the male, that's definitely true. He's quite slim, and that cap sleeve does hit him pretty close to the shoulder. Now, they did have a picture of somebody else here, another gal. She is, I mean, she's still pretty slim, but I think that she probably took a wider size. And you can see on this one where her sleeve also sits off sort of the way mine did. Now, that could look really cool. It just doesn't look cool on me. So, okay, enough said about that. That's the only thing I didn't like about this pattern. I did not understand the directions for putting in the neck binding, so I just did it my own way. That's not their fault. It's a French company, so the pattern is in French. I don't speak French, so that's my problem. I used Google Translate and what little French I remember from college to figure this pattern out, which was not difficult. But I just couldn't figure out their directions for the neckline, so keep that in mind. Okay, so an easy fix for this is to just eliminate that scoop, that shoulder cap, and use the sleeve as a straight square sleeve like you do on a lot of other zero waist patterns. That means that when you cut this out, you'll see this picture here. The part I have shaded out in red, that is the part that creates the neckline and also the sleeve cap. But if you cut straight across that line, if you cut the neckline out and then just trim that cap off, you'll have a square set sleeve, and that little bit that makes your neck hole would be waist. Okay, so it looks like Echo Jolie has a few other zero waist patterns. I think they have a couple of skirts, a couple of pairs of pants. They have several dresses and a couple of like kimono type jackets. So definitely check them out, especially if you happen to speak French. The second top I tried was the Aster top. This is pretty new from Fibre and Cloth Studio. It is a Henley type knit top. Here's a picture of it here. It has a band around the collar, it has a band around the waist, and it also has bands around the cuff and a little placket opening at the center front. I made a size B. I did not make any I didn't make any modifications to this pattern, but just so you know, just have what is it called? She has hacks, free hacks to go with this pattern to make it, I think, a turtleneck, and something else. I can't remember. She has a couple of hacks that go with it, so check those out too. Okay, so for the most part, I really like Fibre and Cloth Studio patterns. I've had pretty good success with them. In the past, I've had good success with her. I haven't had any problems with her directions. However, this placket, I was not a fan of this placket. I will show you. I followed the directions from the pattern to put this placket in. And you can see that it just looks really bulky, and I mean, it just looks totally awful to me. This is the front of it. This is the back, which looks even worse. This is one of the problems that I do have with zero waste patterns. This right here is a picture of the layout grid for this pattern. And you can see that this square piece that I have colored in red, that is a piece that you're supposed to use for the placket. In order to use this whole piece, thereby not having any waste, you're going to get a bulky, cumbersome, less refined looking final garment. When, to my mind, it would be easier to take this placket piece and cut your regular two pieces, a left and a right placket piece, and just make it like the old-fashioned way, or at least the old-fashioned way to me. The Reader's Digest way. If anybody remembers the Reader's Digest book of sewing, there are many methods for making a placket. That just happens to be my most often used. And I will show you, I redid this twice. And this is what it looks like now. I just much prefer this. On the inside, you can see there's a teeny bit of interfacing popping out. But aside from that, I like this. This was, I should have said when I started this video, all of these fabrics were scrap pieces left over from in my stash. So I didn't have very much of any of them. I had enough to make these t-shirts, but none of these t-shirts are necessarily what I would really keep in my wardrobe. These are all muslins, and they are all more or less wearable. I probably will not wear this one. It's there's nothing wrong with it. I actually, at the end of the day, I like the way this fits. I'm going to show you some pictures here. Again, it's a very clever layout. It's a very clever design. It fits really well according to the size chart. Except for, I will say that I think for me, I'm 5'3", and the sleeves came out a little bit short. So if you are taller than 5'3", double check those sleeve measurements. But I really liked her method for making a tapered sleeve in a zero waste pattern, and I liked everything else about this pattern. It was literally just the directions and the whole placket situation that I didn't like, and once I went back to my regular method of doing that, then I like it just fine, and I probably will make this again. I'm not a big Henley person. I don't really wear Henleys. I don't, like, since the 90s maybe I haven't had a Henley. So I will make the other versions of this, which is easy enough. Third pattern is from a company called the So-So. This is called the slash neck top and dress. It is, I made this in a size 8, which comes out to a 44-inch circumference. Now, let me just say that there are two different versions of this. One has negative ease, one has positive ease. In both cases, I believe that according to their chart, I would have worn a size 8. Oh, sorry, a size 10. Because I looked at the chart and I could see the final garment measurements, I went with the version that has, I think it's view B, that has the positive ease. And I could see that the final garment measurements on the size 10 were going to be bigger than I would want in a t-shirt, so I went with the size 8. Now, if I wanted to make the more form-fitting one, I probably would have made a size 12 or even a size 14. Just check the body, the final garment measurements. Also, the one that's more fitted has a dart. So for you ladies who have a bigger bust and prefer something with a dart, you may take a look at that one. This also has an option for padded shoulders. I know, very 90s. No, very 80s. Yeah, very 80s. Anyways, I did buy shoulder pads, and then I decided not to put them in here because, again, this is like a wearable muslin. This fabric, by the way, is not, this was rescued from my best friend's mother-in-law's stash when she was moving. I don't know what this is, but it is also probably from the 80s. Okay, back to this top. What do I have to say about this? It looks like, I know what you're thinking, it's a square or it's a rectangle. It's actually not. She has a very clever method for sewing the shoulder seam and folding it under to create a sort of a trapezoid shape like that. Is that a trapezoid? Whatever. It's smaller at the top. It comes in at the top and then goes out to the underarm and then goes straight. And if I have a picture of it, you'll see. What am I talking about? I'll just show you the line drawing. Yeah, and she has a very clever method for creating that. She also has several other patterns on her website, so you'll probably want to check those out too. She's got an Etsy shop. Again, I have to say apologies for this. Like, this fabric is pretty dreadful, and so I don't really do this top very much justice. But I have to say that I actually really like it. I think it's really cute, and I am going to make one of these for the spring and summer. I have some fabric picked out for this already. I made this one. I had this fabric, so I made it as long as the fabric was. I think it would be cuter if it was like a waist length top with like a full pant. Would be super cute. Okay. Let's see. I think that's all I have to say about those. I don't know if I said the Aster top from Fibre and Cloth Studio is also a unisex pattern. Okay, so the other thing is, you don't have to be hunting for a pattern just for knits. Just know that if you are not using a pattern that's drafted for knits, you might need to make some modifications, like I did for the one I'm wearing today. This is a Cris Wood Sews envelope dress. This is in a cotton spandex. I wish I could tell you guys where I got this, but I can't remember. The alterations I made to this, I originally cut it and sewed it smaller than the directions indicated. So I think I took about 1 inch off of each side, but then once I had it together, I could see that it was still way too big for what I wanted, in the sense that in this particular drapey soft jersey, it really looked like a nightgown. So I took it in again. I actually just put it on. I measured it. I pinned it where it felt good on me, and then I removed the sleeves and put the whole thing together again. I did not do anything else to the sleeves. I used the Cris Wood Sews method for putting sleeves into this, which is a tutorial or a pattern or whatever on her blog that is free on her website. I use that for a lot of patterns. Okay, what else did I do? I added, I did make these sleeves smaller all around, but I didn't taper them. They're the same all the way down. I just added cuffs at the bottom. And then I gave it a slight high-low front back hem. And that was it. And I really love this. I wear this all the time. In fact, whenever I wear it, I can't wait for it to get out of the laundry again because I really love wearing it. And I will say, I have made this dress several times. I think it is the most comfortable in the jersey. What else do I have to say? If you are interested in sewing some zero waist knits, t-shirts, tops, dresses, pants, whatever, aside from the ones that we talked about today, I just got a notice via email, I think, that Brigitta Helmersson is coming out with a new zero waist pattern that is drafted for knits and wovens. It's like a sweater kind of thing. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not already on her email list, then go sign up for that, because it looks like it's going to be really cute. And she's got some kits coming out for that too. So if you like kits, that might be something you'd be interested in. The other thing is, the other pattern company I discovered when I was looking through this was a company called Empty Hanger Patterns. She has several zero waste patterns in her Etsy shop. She does give them to you for free. You just click on the link that says free zero waste patterns. Click on the item that says free zero waste patterns on her website, and then go to the item description, and you will see all of the links to the individual patterns. I did download a couple of these, and then I went back and bought them, because I feel like I got like 3 patterns, so I want somebody to get paid for their work. Anyways, I got, what patterns did I get? I got something called the 64 top, which is like made of squares. I think it's squares or triangles. And then I also got one called the Eccles cardigan. Well, there were a bunch listed there. So whatever she had in the free zero waste patterns, I downloaded. These are the 2 I printed out, and I was really up for making. However, after I did these other 3 knit tops and my Chris Wood Sews envelope dress, I was really kind of over the whole thing and wanted to move on to something else. Which is what happens when you experiment, right? Sometimes you're really into it, and sometimes you're done with it and you move on to something else. I will probably try the Empty Hanger patterns at some point, and I will definitely let you know how they turn out, but just be aware that they're out there. She also has a lot of other cute patterns on her website, so just check her shop out if you're interested in that. And if you have enjoyed this video, if you like my channel, if you like me, I always forget to say it, but please hit like, hit subscribe, and most importantly, come back next week, because next week we are going to have an inspiration video. It is in the middle of winter here in the Midwest United States, and I feel like those of us who have been suffering from frigid temperatures and crazy snow and rain and ice for the last like 3 weeks could really use some inspiration, and I'm hoping that everyone else can use some too. It is not going to be spring inspiration or winter inspiration. It's just going to be random stuff I found around the web that I thought we would all be interested in making if we could, and I'm going to see what kind of patterns I can come up with to match my my inspiration photos. So come back and see me again next week. Until then, I wish you all happy sewing.